Hi, behind the chair. I'm so excited to be here with you today on behalf of Alpha Park Milano Professional, someone really special. Before I introduce her, my name is Cassie Siskovic. I'm the U.S. National Artistic Director with Alpha Park Milano. And my special guest slash Alpha Park Milano's Colorist of the Year for 2021. We're going to be co-teaching a class for you guys today, all focused on copper and reds, on natural texture and natural curl. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of start to work through my demonstration, and then once Milena passes it back to me, I'll share with what I'm doing, but I want to pass it to her so she can introduce herself and talk a little bit about her demo.
Hi guys, it's so good to be here. This is my beautiful model. We are doing basically just like a clean retouch on her boot. This is actually at home color, so a little crazy. We're gonna do some salon color now today. Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to touch on the differences between bleaching first and then applying reds versus just using color. Today for our roots, we are actually just using color. She has maybe like a level 6. It's actually really fine textured hair. So I am really excited to just be using color today. I'm using 843 in the Alpha Park Evolution of Color, and I'm using actually 30 volume. I want to brighten everything up really. So we're going to tackle her roots first, and then we're going to go through and we are going to do her ends as well. Brighten them and deposit some like brighter red tones, kind of get her out of that dull looking like faded red brown and make her a little bit more vibrant.
I love it. And so you guys know we'll post all of our before and after images along with formulas in the comments of this live, so you guys will be able to view everything that Milena and I have done. One thing I love about Milena's formulation, and something that's really cool to know about her, is when she competed for Colorist of the Year last year, her final transformation model, she did all with permanent color. So very similarly to this, I think it takes a really articulate and well-educated colorist to truly be able to do a canvas with all permanent color and no lightener. So I love that she's showing this to you guys. I'm definitely gonna like make her explain a little bit more about how she formulates, because I just think it's so brilliant. And I think with reds especially, there is a time and place, right? Like Milena, can you talk a little bit about when you decide whether or not to use bleach or permanent color, like maybe limitations that cause you to choose bleach, or just general rules of thumb that you like to go by?
Yes, so obviously if their hair has been previously colored and it's, you know, drastically darker than what we want, bleach, you know, or color remover needs to be involved. But what I typically like to take into consideration is the texture of their hair, so how fine or coarse their hair is, obviously how dark they are, and how light or bright the goal photo is. So knowing if their hair is, you know, really dark and coarse and they're looking for a really bright red, really bright copper, you're going to probably have to go towards bleach. When I'm looking at that goal photo and it's more, you know, natural, and it's not like a really intense, there's not a lot of intensity to it, then maybe I can go towards color. The biggest thing also to take into consideration is, you know, their scalp, how much regrowth they have, and the you know, we all know the heat of the scalp lifts color a little bit differently. So a lot of the times I'll formulate, you know, if I have like a virgin head of hair and I'm going in with color, obviously upping your developer for the ends, and then, you know, adjusting your formulations for the roots. So this is great. She has a perfect amount of regrowth for color. The heat of the scalp is going to penetrate through her regrowth, so I can use color really nicely here. And this is a little unique situation because her ends are not too far off from where I want, but they're just a little dull. We just want to add some brightness. So I'm actually going to use color on her ends as well. I like that Alpha Park has the triple O, triple S.
Yes. I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna add that. We're gonna use the same root color. So we're using 843, triple O, triple S, and 30 volume on her ends. What that's going to do is it's going to brighten up the existing color that's on her ends while avoiding bleach.
I love it. I'm gonna pull out the swatch book for you guys and just kind of show you Melena's formulas that she just discussed, and then that's gonna help me talk through my formulas as well. So while Melena works through this, and Melena, sorry, I wanted to ask you while you were talking, how much regrowth does she have? I know you said she has the perfect amount, but about how much is that?
3/4 of an inch.
Cool.
To an inch maybe.
What's like the max that you would recommend?
An inch. And if it's any more than an inch, I'll do, you know, that whatever is left off of the root first, off of that inch, and then I'll go back through and touch all the way to the scalp with either a different formula or lesser time.
Love it. You said 843.
Yes.
Great. So let me show you guys that swatch. 843, if you're unfamiliar with Alpha Park Milano's numerical European system, European because we are the #1 Italian hair color in the world. But 8 denotes level, obviously, and then 0.34, 0.3 is gold, 0.4 is copper. So what you're seeing is a dominance of gold in this shade, which is actually, I think, really nice to have at a level 8 if you want vibrancy in your warmth or in your copper, and then supported by that copper foundation. So you get just like a really beautiful, vibrant copper in permanent color, which is exciting. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I mixed up the 4 and the 3 when I said that. I may have said that color incorrectly.
Wait, say that again?
I mixed up the 4 and the 3. Did I say 843?
Oh, I mean,
I just want to correct myself. I may have.
Nope, we knew what you meant. It's fine. The other tool she's using is SSS. So like, I know it's a little overexposed and you kind of totally can't see it at the bottom of the book here, but this is packaged just like our permanent color. So in the silver tubes of EOC, SSS is going to be, sorry, let me fix my exposure here. SSS is going to be just like our permanent color, but all it is it's extra ammonia. So when you add it into a formula like Melena's doing, it's kind of like this little magic secret, if you will, that helps to lift through not only natural melanin, but previous color. So it's a tool that it doesn't work like lightener per se, but when you utilize it and when you add it into your formulas, it does help you break the rules slightly and is super helpful with canvases where you're encouraging warmth like a copper or red. So I love using that. I'm so excited she's using that, and we'll definitely show you guys the afters to paint the picture fully. On my model here, so I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, but this is a UPart wig. This is actually a client. So Melena is coming to you live from LA. I'm coming to you live from New York. So we're on each of the coasts, and we've worked closely together for years, and working so closely, we have some clients that, you know, Melena will share and vice versa. And this is one of those clients. She is always looking for beautifully colored units. And this particular one, we're taking to a bright copper. My target is going to be a level 8 as well. I do have some pictures of this formula that I've used already that I'll share. But because of the depth that we're starting, and I wanted you guys to see exactly, you know, where we're starting texture wise, where we're starting level wise. On the ends, it's maybe a little bit more of like a level 2 or 3. There's like a little bit of brightness, but on the top, this is a level 1. So to break through this and to truly get to a level 7, 8 target like I want, lightener is going to be my go-to choice. However, something really important to keep in mind when working with units like this and hair like this, a lot of times this may be chemically treated to create the texture. And even if not, it's really important anytime you're using lightener on natural curl to try to preserve the curl as much as possible. There's nothing worse than when you nail the color, but the curl is totally ruined, or vice versa. So to preserve the curl, I'm lifting this unit, starting with Easy Lift 7, which is Alpha Park Milano's BB bleach. It's our gentlest bleach, 7 level lift. And I'm starting with 10 volume. I'm able to take my time because this is a unit, but what I also want to make sure of is as I'm lifting this, what I'm really looking for is to get through the underlying pigment that looks more red. So we want to we know how underlying pigment works, right? It's a scale, it's a gradient. So when we started at 1 and we're lifting to levels 3, 4, even 5, we're starting to transition from dark to exposing a little bit of red. Because this is likely chemically treated and artificially colored, these units lift fast. The hair lifts pretty fast, considerably more than what maybe using a 30 volume would allow me to control. And I don't want to lift it too far because this client in particular, she loves wearing this texture. So if I lose it, she's not going to be able to wear the unit. Really, really, really important to make sure we're preserving the integrity of the curl. You'll even notice on my sections, I'm leaving the ends out, and I'm just going to do that last because these are the most delicate parts. And it's the part that honestly is going to lift the fastest. So I'm just taking my time, working my way up through the unit. I section for control, right? So because this unit is pre-done, there's a couple things I want to be really aware of and careful of. This is hand sewn. So if I'm pulling this too tight or creating too much tension, it could potentially ruin or loosen the way the wefts are put in. So you want to be really careful anytime you're coloring units to kind of protect that. Oops. Also, the only clips that will work for me on hair that is high density and honestly any high density are the YSPAR clips. So definitely have those in your kits if you're working with high density. I am separating it just feeling out the amount of hair that I'm comfortable fully saturating with. So that's the other really important factor here. This curl is going to really absorb the product. So as I'm applying it, I'm starting at the top, and I'm definitely going to feather all the way up to the base of this weft. We are going to add in a root, but that root is even going to be lighter than what this is. So I want to lift it as high as possible. And I'm kind of starting at the mid and just loading in the product until I can really feel it pushing through. Like I'm constantly working this product through, using my hands, taking my time, really feeling it out to make sure that yes, this is fully saturated. And even after I think it's fully saturated, there might be times where I have to go back through and resaturate. That's just kind of how it goes. I know Milena can probably speak to this too with permanent color. Sometimes that happens. You have to double check yourself and make sure it's really saturated because curly hair is a really porous canvas. So we want to make sure we're not missing anything because of that. So I'm just going to continue to work through these sections and apply this lightener. And I'm excited because the lifting process is literally happening live. So I think by the time Milena passes it back to me, I'll be able to show you this section, and you're going to see she's starting to transition from red orange to orange gold, which is exactly where we want to be. And I'm excited for you to see it. So Milena, I'm going to pass it right back to you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I was going to mention with the saturation, even with this base, I'm going to go through, you'll see when I'm finished, I'm going to cross track everything. So I'm going to separate in opposite partings as how I applied and just basically redo the base. Maybe not as enough sections, as small sections as I initially go through, but definitely still going to do that. I like to always too with color application, like through the ends, I'll take like a wide tooth comb and just gently kind of comb through a few times to make sure that everything is really coated. I mean, extension hair is like the hardest thing to saturate. So
yeah. Yep, I love that.
Definitely experience that. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, like, I know as your career has progressed, you have honestly become the go-to colorist in LA for clients that have curly hair. I would love for you to talk a little bit about that journey and kind of how you got to where you are. If you guys, we'll definitely post her Instagram in the comments, Milena Rose Hair. So if you're not following her, you need to go check her out. But she is, I know firsthand, she is one of the most sought out colorists for all canvases, but especially for clients with curly hair in LA. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that, Melina, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I feel like I've never really just said no to any texture. So I've always done all textures, but I think it kind of just started like social media is like a huge, it's a huge impact. So once you post one person, like people are, going to seek you out. So, I know it's like a big thing in our industry, like the separation of textured hair versus non-textured hair, I guess. A lot of people are afraid of it, and you have to apply this similar rules as far as color goes to textured hair to non-textured hair. So, I never have to know whether your hair is curly or straight. I really just have to know the texture as far as coarse and fine goes, the starting point, color history, and then where you want to be. So that's always been in the back of my mind. And yeah, so I think once you see somebody that looks like you on somebody else's page, it makes you more comfortable. You want to be able to they want to be able to trust people. You want to be able to trust people. So that's really how it took off with social media.
I love that. Well, I know it says in your bio, I'll do anyone's hair that needs it. And I think that's such a great mindset and approach. And that can be hard. I mean, I know you've always been very focused on continuing to advance your skills and educate and take classes. And obviously with curl, there's a lot of care and detail that goes into coloring it properly. But I think having that type of mindset, and Janetta Walker Rogers, she's our technical director at Apple Park Milano. She always says hair is fabric, and you have to treat it like fabric. And especially with color, of course there are delicacies when it comes to working with natural curl, but that doesn't mean you need to be afraid of it. And I love that you're fearless. That's fun.
I think the same with, all aspects of the industry. I think if you're, you cut hair, you should cut all hair. I feel like we're getting to a point in life where like everyone's doing everything. So like women are wearing men's cuts, and then like, men are wearing their hair longer, or we should be able to cut every, hair type, or if you're a cutter, you should be able to cut all lengths, all types of hair. So I think it goes all around the board. I know cutting and color are two totally different worlds, honestly. Yeah. So, but if you specialize in one or the other, you should specialize in all textures.
So I want to show you guys another section that I started with, because we're really starting to see it lift. You can see she's definitely come from, this really dark level. I'm starting to see her transition to kind of more of this. There's still a little bit of red, which tells me, it obviously still needs to sit longer, but I know I'm always kind of shook by how fast this happens. And when it comes to bright coppers, I know the first couple times I've colored the wefts, or even while they're in the unit, it's really easy for it to happen too fast. And I think sometimes overlifting can easily happen when you're trying to create a copper, because it's such a fine, like I really want to hit that perfect gradient that will allow me to deposit the color I want, but still have durability and still maintain the curl and texture. So it's all a timing game. I'm more than likely going to finish this quadrant. I've sectioned her into 4 quadrants, so 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And I'll likely take it quadrant by quadrant, which is one of the benefits to working on a unit. But I would even encourage, if you're doing something like this on a client, I mean, Melina, is there anything that you like to do that helps as far as timing goes when you are using lightener and trying to lift natural curl to help preserve it?
I use 10 volume a lot of the time with bleach. With extensions or units, you're not as likely to be able to, but you know, I've done platinum blondes in foil, you know, with 10 volume. You slow and steady is the way to go. So being patient, not rushing, you know, minimal heat source, you know, is best with texture. But yeah, using lower developers, and you can always, you know, bump up to 20 or 25 maybe if you need to, once you get towards the front of the head or when you're finishing up. The nice thing about starting in the back is that you can always rinse it, you know, before you're done with the front, or, you know, whenever it's ready. So that's a great thing, you know, to take into consideration as well.
Definitely. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of times you would look at this canvas and you would think there's no way that 10 volume will get us to where we need to be. And I think that's probably another really important key takeaway, is not to let your eyes trick you when it comes to natural curl. You know, really assess the texture. And, you know, we define texture, that's not the curl pattern. It's actually defined as the diameter of each strand. So when you're working with curl, it's actually really common, just as common with any other hair type, for the strands to be really, really fine, like really, really skinny and tiny. And that means it's going to actually work with the color faster, whether it's lightener or anything else. We know that fine hair, the reaction is much easier than a coarser texture. So, you know, never assume, don't let your eyes trick you, always assess that. It's incredibly important to always assess that.
This is looking really good.
I'm excited. Your model?
Yeah. Well, yours too.
So, I meant to tell you guys, please put your questions in the comments. Melina and I, even if we don't talk through it right now, we're going to circle back and make sure we're in the comments answering any of your questions. So please feel free to ask Melina or myself anything about our demonstrations, or just, you know, in general questions. But also, Melina, I wanted to ask, sorry, I keep asking you questions. How do you tackle reds with gray?
I always will add a little bit of, you know, an N or an I based on, you know, what they want. I have a redhead client who comes and sees me for root touch-ups every like 2 to 3 weeks because she's so white. I think her formula is like 7NI and like 7.6 and 7.4, like something in that range. Yeah. So, and I think maybe the first time I had to adjust the N to the 0.4 and 0.6 a little bit because it wasn't covering quite enough. But yeah, definitely always adding in those N's and NIs. I know you will probably know more about if there are other options in Alpha Park that do cover gray that you can add in, or is it just the N and NIs?
Yeah, we do. We actually also have cover reds. So let me show you what those look like.
You have cover reds?
We do have cover reds, Melina. I need to get you some so you can try them. Yes. They're really incredible. No, they're really amazing. They're really, really, really amazing. Yeah, our cover reds are here. So you get the opportunity to utilize a red shade. It just says cover reds right here. And they cover gray. But I think the principle of adding the N, like gray hair is so relative, right? Like depending on the type of hair, the type of gray hair you're working on, like what Melina just said, I think that's a very real assumption to have, is that sometimes it may be a little bit of trial and error with that particular client because it's so relative. White gray hair probably needs a lot more pigment. So I love that you picked the NI, which has the most natural pigment in it. And you may have to adjust the proportions a little bit. Even if you're using the cover reds, it's going to work 90% of the time, but there's always those clients that just need a little bit of extra finessing. And I think it's good to just be open-minded to needing that, and be kind to yourself and knowing that you need that, because it's very normal. And That's not just with a color line, that's with every client, because gray is very unique per person. I love it. Did you finish up?
Good. I was gonna step off camera and maybe like mix my next.
Absolutely, yeah, do your thing. I'll show you guys the lifting process now, kind of where I'm at again after this section. One other tip I always like to speak to anytime we're using lightener, but especially with a full application like this, I usually never mix up more than 30 grams of powder in a bowl at a time. This is mixed 1 to 2, again, Easy Lift 7, mixed 1 to 2, a 10 volume Oxido. But the reason why I try not to mix any more than 30 grams of powder is because I want my lightener to be fresh. And anything past that, I question its potency, which can completely affect how it's processing, how it's lifting, even how it absorbs, because we know that as lightener kind of sits in your bowl, the viscosity can kind of change. So 30 grams is my max. Sometimes, you know, I'll have a bowl set up with the powder and the developer measured out, and then I'll just mix it together when I'm ready. But nonetheless, you know, 30 is, for me, it's been a good number to ensure that my bowls are always fresh. This is so exciting. I'm gonna see if I can scrape this off a little bit for you guys to see. Let's get it closer. So yes, we can see that. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I just overexposed the camera. It's always funny with digital, trying to get you to see what's going on here, but she is definitely transitioning into that copper realm. I still want to go a little bit farther. Clean lift is incredibly important when it comes to color in general. And, you know, I think when we talk about clean lifts, a lot of times, you can even see it from back here. A lot of times we'll even talk about clean lift more than anything with like beiges and platinums and lighter blondes. But with coppers and reds, clean lift still shouldn't be something we're sacrificing. To me, when you're going for a warmer end result, the idea of clean lift is to still target at least one level, even a half level higher than your target. That just ensures you've cleared out enough natural melanin or artificial pigment to allow the formula that you've created, that you've derived, to fully absorb into this hair and look the way you expect it to. When we're not lifting clean in any instance, meaning when we're not lifting to the targeted level that we scientifically need to deposit the color properly, we're never going to get the color we expect. So the lifting process is crucial. You want to lift clean to deposit clean. A couple other things I love speaking to with Alpha Park spreads, just in general. First is the range. So you guys can see from this swatch book, I mean, this entire page is coppers and reds. So we have plenty of options, even more that our golds are over here. So there's tons of options here. And a unique kind of shade that we have is mahogany. So anytime you see, I know I said 3 is gold, 4 is copper. In Alpha Park, when you see 5, that's mahogany, which is actually a mixture of violet and red. So I know for me, one of my favorite things to do with coppers and reds is truly customize it to the client's skin tone. I feel like it's a total missed opportunity if, as a colorist, you just kind of use the same thing over and over again and aren't looking for the natural undertones in a client to match with your formula. So for me, when it comes to warmer reds, I love reaching for coppers and golds. And then when it comes to cooler reds, if a client has a cool undertone, but they still want to wear a beautiful red, this mahogany is such a gorgeous shade to kind of incorporate into your formula to soften it, cool it off, add depth, almost make it like a Merlot-y vibe. So the range is amazing. And additionally, if you guys have never used Alpha Park before, in our permanent color, there's a lot of crazy technology that makes it honestly the best permanent color you could ever use. And I know Melena can talk about the durability she experiences with our reds in the salon. I think that's a huge benefit to using our color. But a couple quick things to rattle off. We do have an HCI system, which is a hyper intense color system, meaning we have the purest microcrystallized forms of dyes in our color. This is a little pricey, but it makes our color the best. And what's great is that price is not reflected in what you pay. This is still at a really great price point as far as permanent color goes. So you're getting a ton of value in terms of the quality of pigments you're using. And if we think about it, if you have smaller pigments, that means more can go into the hair. So you're packing in more, which will make it last longer. And additionally, that makes it brighter, it makes it shinier. It just gives all of the attributes that we love seeing in color that much more of a front row kind of show, I guess. So when it comes to our reds, I love having that HDI system. What's also really great to know is there is literally hyaluronic acid formulated in our permanent color. So if you're familiar with hyaluronic acid in skincare, you know that this is a great ingredient to help with moisture retention, to maintain an ideal moisture level. But also it basically allows the color to absorb evenly into the hair. So having an even moisture level from top to bottom ensures you're getting even saturation and even color coverage, which is so important for all hair, but especially for clients that have curly hair. Melena, do you want to share a little bit about like your experience with the durability and just, I guess this is a great question, and one I get often is about the return visits for reds. Anything you want to call out with the return visits?
Yeah, I mean, I really noticed that my reds last. Like I have clients that come in and there's like maybe a very slight shift in their color from just, you know, sun, shampooing things, you know, the normal things that fade our color, but it's really crazy. You really don't have to do too much to touch them back up. Yeah, I mean, I've had crazy results. You know, most of my redheads before would fade back to like if they were a deep red, they'd fade very orangey or coppery, or, you know, if it's a bleach out first, if you are incorporating bleach, you know, they fade even worse. But it's been great. I've been having really great results with the reds.
Love it. All right. Tell us about your formula now. You mixed up a second bowl. Is it the same or is it different?
No, this is the OSP, or I'm sorry, the triple O, triple X, the 843, and the 30 volume that I'm applying on her ends.
Love it. Okay. This is actually really important scientifically and an easy mistake I think people can make. Tell me about like your developer choices when it comes to root and mid to end, and how you've adjusted it now, but then any general tips you would give someone to adjust it on other canvases too.
Yes. So for this client, since we are trying to get a little bit of lifting power with her ends and brightness, I opted for a 30 volume on her ends as well as her root. Her ends, because there is previous color, we're still lifting. Her root, the heat of the scalp helped with that, even though she was like a level 5-6. I wanted definitely some brightness, so that's why I went for the 30. And I'm using a level 8, so taking into consideration lifting from a 6 to an 8. She's not going to be a true bright 8 like the swatch, but it will definitely get her to where we want her. If her ends were virgin, I'd probably use an 843 and like a 40 volume, and I might even add the triple O, triple S as well into the end formula if she was all virgin. But I would not be afraid to use maybe a 40 volume on her ends again to brighten that up to where I want it.
Yeah, I love it. And with, you know, lightener versus permanent color, you don't have to be so afraid of using a higher developer when it comes to permanent color. Obviously that sounds really scary and is totally different than what we talk about with lightener, but with permanent color, I mean, think about it. With permanent color, the developer is basically, it's doing a couple different things. First and foremost, it's oxidizing the pigments, right? But what has to happen before that, and developer's main job with permanent color, is to move and remove all of that natural melanin in the hair. So it's creating space for what you're depositing to go in. And a lot of times when you're doing these transitions from a really dark starting canvas to a lighter level like an 8, you need that extra developer to really help shift that melanin so that what you're putting in can show up properly. If you ever notice that you're using a permanent color and the red is either not the tone you've expected, maybe it's a little too deep, not as reflective and vibrant, browned out, I mean, that could be a couple factors. You may need to shift up your developer, or you may have been targeting something that needed lightener. So I think all of those things are really, really great to consider and to just kind of keep in mind when using permanent color with warmth. I love it. Well, we are getting to the end of our time with you guys today. So last call for questions, please pop them in the comments. And again, Melina and I will make sure we circle back from either our pages or Alpha Park's pages to just make sure we're answering everything. But I'm just going to recap kind of what I've done and then what I'm going to tone this unit with. So again, I'm working in quadrants, and I'm going to pull up this section again because we are really lifting. Like, it is looking beautiful. And you guys, this lift, I got to bring it closer while I say this. So you can see where she's at. She is now in these bottom sections at that beautiful copper gold reflection that I'm looking for to be able to deposit my desired color in. So this was done with Easy Lift, BB Bleach Easy Lift. Mind you, all of our lighteners have bond builder in them, so just keep that in mind. We have double bond complex in all of our lighteners, which is fantastic for any canvas, but especially curly hair. Easy Lift 7 mixed 1 to 2 with 10 volume. I literally, look, I have it right here, just so you don't know, so you don't think I'm lying. 10 volume. Can't even see it. I swear I'm not lying. There you go. There's the 10. That's major. Like, I think as far as preserving the curl pattern, there's really no better way to do it. And this is how you become a reputable colorist with curly haired clients, is by not destroying their curl. So as much as you can trust the product and go low and slow and use low potency products, I promise you it's going to pay off in the long run. Melina is a perfect testament to that. And I've experienced it too. So everything here has been lifted with 20 volume. I'm going to go quadrant by, because this is a U-part unit, and I'm just going to take my time making sure that I'm preserving the curl as much as possible. I did leave a lot of the ends out. They're actually getting a considerable amount of lift just from sitting here. However, I'll fully saturate those with 10 volume once I've let the mids kind of lift to the level that I'm looking for. From there, formulation wise, I'm actually going to pull up my Instagram to refer to the formula that we did last time, because we want to do the same thing. So everything was EOC, which is Alpha Park's permanent color line. I'm going back in with permanent color here, just so that she can experience the benefits of EOC in the wear of her wig, and to ensure that we're getting the vibrancy and the durability that we're looking for. So the first piece to my formula is her base. I am going to do a slight root when this is done processing. That root is 5 grams of 5, which is just a natural, 15 grams of 6.53. So this is where I was telling you guys about that mahogany tone, which kind of has a Merlot vibe. 6.53, where is the swatch? Let's see. Here she is. 6.53. So it's just like a really nice, deep, rich mahogany color with gold reflection, which keeps it a little bit bright. And that's with 10 volume mixed 1 to 1.5, which is Alpha Park's EOC standard mixing ratio. Then I did a couple different copper shades, one that was a little bit deeper, one that was a little bit brighter. The first one was grams of 7.34, which is the same tonality that Melina is using on her client now, just a level deeper, right here. And then 10 grams of 6.4 plus 10 pumps of copper pigment, mixed 1 to 1.5 with 10 volume Oxido. And here's our 6.4, just so you can see how bright this is. Beautiful level 6 copper. Then for her peachy copper tone, we're using a very similar formula, but instead of a 6.4, I've shifted up to an 8.4 to make it a little bit brighter. And then I've added bronze pigment instead of copper. And if you guys aren't familiar with our bronze pigment, it's still a really nice warm tone, but it has a little bit of richness to it and almost a champagne-y reflection, which just really adds dimension to the whole look. So she's gonna have a couple different coppery formulas. And again, I'll make sure I'm posting everything in the comments when this is completed so you guys can see the end result. Melina, do you want to recap yours really quick for us too?
Yeah, so we did on her regrowth, which was like a level 5-6. We did 843, or I'm sorry, 834. Keep saying it backwards.
Yeah, 843.
843 it is? Okay. What am I doing?
No, you got it. No, you got it. Maybe I spelled it wrong.
We got it. 843. Okay, so 843 and 30 volume on her root, and then on her ends, we did the 843 as well with the triple O, triple S, and 30 volume on her ends to bump up. And that's it.
Love it. Beautiful. Well, Melina, thank you so much for being here with me today. Your knowledge and expertise is much appreciated to be shared. You guys, please go follow her. Her Instagram is Melina Rose Hair. We'll put it in the comments again. But we were so happy to spend time with you guys today. We'll post all our results and we'll circle back and answer your questions. But thank you behind the chair. Thank you, Alpha Parf, and we'll see you next time.